But let's get into it. Let's talk about these rumors first and foremost. How about Kenny Vaccaro? Tom, we've talked about it a couple of times already. Let's talk about it again. Is he coming to Dallas? What are we giving this one?
It's now in the rumor category, so we're giving it 2 stars because the Dallas Morning News has said it's an option. So at that point, it's no longer just me wanting it to happen. It now falls in that rumor category. Brett, I would love it if this actually ends up happening. This is, I think, a perfect fit for what Dallas needs in the back end.
This is your guy. He's a #1 free agent for Tom Downey right here. Dallas Morning News is talking about it. People are talking about it. That's why we're giving it 2 stars on our rumor-o-meter. Let's see what that rumor-o-meter sets up to look like. Hey, we've got 12 of them to get through, so we've got a lot of stars to throw at you. One thing that we may not throw at you are 0 stars, and that's the amount of fights that OBJ has won versus the net. We had to change it, Tom, because the Eagles somehow won a Super Bowl.
Still upset about it.
I don't get it. I feel like it didn't happen, but it somehow did, so we have to change our 0 stars. That's what won. We love it. 1 star, small shred of truth. 2 stars, the people are talking. Could go either way. It's firmly in that rumor category. 3 stars, it's pretty likely it's getting there. 4 stars, Dez caught it. If those were catches in the Super Bowl, Dez definitely caught it as well.
Especially the Corey Clement one.
Yeah,
come on, that ball's moving all over the place.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to rumor number 2 here. Byron Jones, is he getting ready to move to cornerback? Tom, you've been talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. Other people are talking about it now, 2 stars.
Yeah, now in the rumor category as well, just like Kenny Vaccaro. Todd Archer says that the Cowboys are considering it. Just make it happen. I think he's a perfect fit under Chris Richard as a cornerback. It, I think, really solidifies that cornerback position. Byron Jones, Awuzie on the outside. Jordan Lewis becomes the NFL's best slot guy. Anthony Brown becomes the #4, where he's probably more suited to be at anyway.
Got a lot of people checking in the comments already. We got people from Arizona, Delaware, right here in Texas. We love you guys here on the Cowboys Report. Get those comments in. We'll answer your questions as we go along throughout the show. Number 3 on the rumor meter. Let's go to Emmanuel Sanders joining the Cowboys. More people are talking, Tom.
And I like this one. And normally I'm the bearer of bad news, but this is also a 2-star rumor because there was a report from a friend of the show, Bobby Belt, that Emmanuel Sanders, if he does leave Denver, he wants to come back home and play for the Cowboys. Now, this is not as simple as, let's just do it. Sanders is a very heavy contract, $11 million salary. The Broncos are trying to trade him, and they haven't had much interest because who wants to take on that salary for an aging receiver? But if Sanders is cut, and let's say he takes a $5 or $6 million per year contract, that's when I think he makes sense for the Cowboys if he takes that discount to come back and play in Dallas.
Yeah, we'll bring up a reaction poll here. There's been a lot of talk about Sanders as it relates to Dez Bryant and what would happen. I don't think it's an either or here, Tom. We'll give you guys the options here. Dez is a heart, like for Sanders, both. Give me a wow face. That's what I'm going to throw up. Ha for neither, and you just cut everybody and start over.
I think you can actually get both, and that's what I'm most excited about. I think you can get Dez Bryant, and if Sanders is cut, which he may or may not be, Ian Rappaport said that it didn't seem all that likely. If he is cut, that's where I think Sanders makes a lot of sense, and I would love to bring him in. I think he is a perfect receiver for Dak Prescott. He gets open with separation, unlike Terrence Williams, unlike Dez Bryant at this point in his career.
All right, quick word here. Today's Cowboys Report is sponsored by The Guild. Visit stayguild.com. Use that promo code CHATSPORTS for 15% off your stay in Austin, Dallas, Nashville, or Miami. Boston coming soon as well. Luxury lodging at the best residential buildings. It's like a luxury Airbnb. Comes with that virtual concierge, Tom. Stayguild.com. Use that promo code ChatSports. Before we move on to some more rumors, I've got a few comments that I've got to get to.
Okay.
One here. Where'd it go? Troy says, Jones is a safety. This is common sense. Hello.
He is a free safety / cornerback hybrid. They have forced him to play the strong safety role, which doesn't make any sense for Byron Jones. He's not a great tackler. He's not a run stopper. They put him at strong safety. That's a bad fit for him. You put him at free safety or corner, either one, it makes sense. But he was drafted as a free safety cornerback hybrid. I want to see him go play corner.
One more, producer Lena, I want to get to. I'm trying to find it. Where did it go? Casey, what about Earl Thomas?
Earl Thomas doesn't seem all that likely at this point. I think he's kind of used the Cowboys as leverage to get a bigger contract from Seattle. But hey, we'll wait and see. I think next year maybe it's a little bit more likely that you could see Earl Thomas and the Cowboys actually pick up steam.
All right, let's get back into these rumors here. Number 3 here, Zack Martin extension. Is it coming soon?
Number 4, and yeah, it's going to come soon.
Yeah, number 4.
Look, I think the Combine, and this is what it's been reported as well, I think the Combine makes sense. That's the time where you can see the Cowboys and Martin sit down and work a little bit further in this contract discussion. It's going to get done. It's just a matter of when and how much. And I think you'll see Zack Martin get a very hefty contract. will likely make him the highest paid guard in the NFL. And frankly, he's worth every cent because he is absolutely incredible. Just think if the Cowboys had drafted Johnny Manziel instead of Zack Martin.
We'll get there.
Hint, hint.
Hint,
later in
hint.
the show.
That's called foreshadowing in the business. All right, number 5, Dallas needs to change the offensive system. Drew Pearson's off talking.
Hey, the OG88 is right now.
Yeah.
He is absolutely correct because the Cowboys do need to change the offensive system. If I see a bunch of routes where the receivers run straight and turn back around again, I'm going to be really upset this year. And Pearson said he's heard from Cowboys both privately and in the public, which we've seen the public ones, i.e. Dez Bryant, that they didn't like the system because they were more or less told, hey, go run go routes and go run curl routes that are 20 yards downfield. And like you wonder why no one's open because they're just running straight. So I do think the system needs to change. Now that's not just the system. The players need to do some better work as well. But the system absolutely cannot be the same as it was last year. It just can't be.
Yeah, adjustments have to happen. You know, the league had seen 1 year of Dak and Zeke. Year 2 obviously took a step backwards, suspensions and everything included. Year 3, Cowboys now have to make their adjustments back and take that step forward, or people are really going to be talking about things here in Dallas. All right, number 6, Tom. We've talked about the linebacker position. How about Derrick Johnson, the former Chief?
This is very much people are talking. There was some speculation in the USA Today. There's been a lot of it on social media as well, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, etc. I would be okay with this actually because I love Derrick Johnson. He's coming back home to an extent because he played at Texas. I'll mention this though, and I have a new abbreviation for you, Brett. ATRP.
Oh, Tom.
At the right price. There you go.
All right.
So you actually like that one.
So here we go. So off-season drinking game.
Yeah.
When Tom says ball skills, drink.
I'm going to say it again later
When Tom
today.
says ATRP at the right price, drink.
And when I go on a secondary rant, you chug all the rest of your drinks.
Secondary rants, chug everything.
No secondary rants today. But back to Derrick Johnson. Look, he's 35 years old. He is not the same player he once was. He's still a very solid, maybe a below-average starter. I don't know, even if he is coming back home to Dallas, if he wants to be the cheap backup, which is what he would likely be for Dallas, because I really think the Cowboys are ready to go Sean Lee and Jalen Smith going forward, maybe Anthony Hitchens as well, but they're not going to throw $5 million at Derrick Johnson.
Look,
that's not their plan.
Derrick Johnson's had a great career, but is he that much different than Wilbur or Durant at this point? Obviously, he brings a lot of veteran type of leadership and knowledge, but on the field?
I think next year, Derrick Johnson, I don't know, because look, the man's had 2 serious leg injuries. He's 35 years old. I think he's better than a Durant and a Wilbur, but I actually don't know if he's better than Anthony Hitchens.
Right.
So at that point, you don't want to throw a lot of money at him, but I am okay with this because it is Derrick Johnson and everyone loves him.
All right,
and I understand that.
Let's get into the Dez Bryant portion of the rumor-o-meter here on the Cowboys Report. Should the Cowboys cut Dez?
So this is coming in from one Stephen A. Smith, so A, grain of salt.
So B, people are talking.
B, people are talking.
Because Stephen A. Smith talks.
He talks a lot. So there's 2 things that Stephen A. Smith said that were actually right. He said that Bryant is not worth $16 million per year, which he's not, but that he can also still ball but isn't elite, and that's right.
Okay.
So I don't know why the end result is cut him. That just like he was right. Like he's not worth $16 million, but he can still play. The Cowboys have nothing behind him in all reality. So why is the answer to cut him? That's what I don't understand. You were so close, Stephen A. You had the right mindset. You don't cut him though, because you have nothing behind him unless you have a better plan in the draft or free agency, which as of right now you're gonna have a tough time actually finding.
Antonio's saying pay cut, pay cut, pay cut.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the flip side. Maybe not a pay cut. How about an extension though?
So this coming in from Ian Rapport, and again, people are very much
talking a lot about Dez.
2 stars on this one because Rap Sheet says it's more likely that he's extended than he's cut. Now, when I say extension, and I think Rapport means this, maybe he doesn't even realize it. It doesn't necessarily
more like a restructure.
It doesn't even necessarily mean like a 5-year extension. You could do a year or 2. It's all designed to get that cap hit down. 2 options. One, and this would be ideal. You move some of his salary into incentives. Now, the way it works is that you can give incentives, but if they're not likely to be earned, they won't count against your cap hit. Well, the NFL determines that based on what they did last year. So the Cowboys could reshuffle like $5 million of Dez's salary into incentives, and if he gets 70 catches, 839 yards, and 7 TDs, he gets back to his original amount, which is doable for Dez. But at the same time, Dez is going to be like, just pay me.
Why would I do it?
Just pay me. The other option,
it's a game of chicken.
Exactly. The other option, and this might be a little bit more likely, is that you add a voidable third year to the 2 years that he has left on his contract. So you give him an extension in that way. And it ends up turning the cap hit that's spaced out over the next couple of years. I see Brett geeking out in the corner here. I don't know what kind of comment you got.
I got a great comment,
but we'll
coming
get to
up,
it here in a
guys.
second. So the cap hit, if you do this voidable year, it goes down to $8.77 million for 2018. Cowboys free up half of the cap hit. The flip side is his 2019 cap hit becomes $20 million with a dead cap hit of 10. So you free it up this year, but you only kick the can down the road. But I do think there's a scenario where the Cowboys go, you know what? Let's go ahead and redo Dez's contract a little bit and free up some money this year and then worry about it again next year.
You know, the Cowboys tend to be a front office that likes to restructure things. All right, Tom. Let's maybe kind of shift gears a little bit here. We're going to go back to Torrey. The truth is we'll never win with Jason Garrett.
Not a unique take. He has several of those.
Not a hot take at all. The hot take is Harbaugh.
He's not coming back to the NFL.
Well, even if he did, I don't know if he's right for the Cowboys.
I would gladly take Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
Tom
would take Jim Harbaugh.
It'd be fun to have Jim and Jerry next to each other at press conferences. That would be comedy. But he's not coming back to the NFL. So.
All right. You know who may not also come back to the NFL, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. This was a rumor, though.
How about Johnny coming to the Cowboys? What do you think?
Hey, I wanted to give this 2 stars because people are most certainly talking, Matt.
This was a veto.
Yeah, Brett vetoed it. He said 1 star at most. You would have wanted fake news. But look, I get what Matt's thinking here. Like, he made the prediction that if Manziel stays out of trouble, he'll be on the Cowboys' opening day roster in 2019. If he stays out of trouble, which is a big but. Look, we know that Jerry Jones loves Johnny football. He loves him. And we also know that Jerry loves a good redemption story. I hate this idea, but I could totally see it.
Yeah,
I could totally see it happening.
Throw in those comments there, guys. Do you want the Cowboys to sign Johnny Manziel?
Hey.
I didn't want the Cowboys to draft Johnny Manziel.
Hey.
They didn't draft Johnny Manziel.
Thank God for Stephen Jones, who allegedly, and I buy this.
Stephen Jones is still running the ship. He's the adult in the room.
Hey, he took the card out of Jerry's hands that had Johnny Manziel written on it.
I don't know. That seems like a bit of a rumor, right?
I buy it, though.
You're going to go 3-star on that one?
I'm going 4 stars, man. I totally believe it.
Was this in like the Book of Secrets or something like that?
No, this was in one of the Cowboys books that came out a few years ago and has been reported in other areas. But what Jerry and Steven said is that no, Jerry really wanted him, though. That we know for sure. But in the end, Steven was like, no, we're not doing it. The rest of the draft room was like, yeah, we're not doing that either.
Pretty much everybody is on board with me. And the comments are saying no to Johnny Manziel.
Good. I'm so proud of you guys right now. Because I agree. I don't want Johnny.
All right, let's talk about another quarterback here. And that's a quarterback that's, of course, near and dear to our hearts. Yeah. Tom, is Tony Romo set to become the next Dallas Cowboys head coach?
Maybe.
We'll get to it after a word from our sponsor, The Guild.
Romo is not going to be the next Cowboys head coach. It's not happening.
0 fights that OBJ has won against the Nets.
Shame on Will Kane of ESPN for saying that it makes sense as a replacement. He said he checked several boxes, understands offensive philosophy, and
Is that the only thing that qualifies you as a head coach
nowadays?
Well,
he also can manage Jerry. Those were his boxes that were checked.
It's maybe a decent box to check.
Really, guys? Like, come on. Like, it's... I love Tony Romo, and I know you do. I know all the fans do. But the idea of Romo jumping from playing to broadcasting to head coach is like the regional manager going to CEO in a month. Like it's not going to go well.
So Dwight Schrute has jumped.
Andy Bernard to CEO. That's what it would have been. Okay. But that's what I was thinking about when I wrote that line. Like Romo knows the game. I get that. But it's so different to go from being able to predict plays and knowing offense to actually running a team as a coach. There's a reason it's never happened before. So it's not going to happen. If Romo wants to go be head coach, he can go be the quarterback's coach. I know the Cowboys fans wanted him as that. That would have been great. But he's not going to leave his cushy broadcasting job. Well, so Romo is not going to be head coach. Let's stop talking about it.
We literally talked about this on Tuesday about how he's set to pursue his golf dream.
Which would be awesome.
I mean, come on. All right, Calvin here. Romo could be our Nick Foles story.
Look, I have often thought about doing a segment on one of our Sunday/Tuesday shows of what would have happened had the Cowboys traded up for Paxton Lynch.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how it ends. It ends with Romo being rushed back when he went down with that injury and then getting hurt again.
Yeah.
That's how the story ends. So it would have been great, but look, Romo is not physically able to hold up for 16 games anymore.
All right, 2 more rumors. I'm going to ignore the comment that just came in from one James Yoder. Cowboys lose another assistant coach. What do you think, Tom?
Oh, this one is also 4 stars. First reported by Todd Archer. The Cowboys have lost their assistant coach, Turner West, who was a assistant to the assistant linebacker. It was almost kind of a assistant to the assistant to the assistant. He was a very low-rung coach. He's going to go join Austin Peay. This is not a big loss whatsoever, but it's news, and we wanted to make mention.
It's an interesting move for me. If you were an assistant, even if you were assistant to the assistant to the assistant of the Dallas Cowboys, to go and join an FCS program that's really not that any good at football. So, interesting one. But, hey, let's talk about a coach that was hired here by the Dallas Cowboys, and that's Doug Nussmeier. He's set to become the next tight ends coach for the Cowboys.
It is another Linehan lieutenant.
Yep.
And that's exactly what this hire is. Now, Nussmeier comes over from Florida, where he was the OC last year. Didn't really go all that well with the bad Gators offense. He's been the OC at Michigan and Alabama. Had a 5-year NFL career as a backup quarterback. And most importantly, he was the quarterback's coach under Linehan when he was the head coach of the Rams. A Linehan lieutenant giving himself, this is the Cowboys giving Linehan and Garrett enough rope to hang themselves with. If it doesn't go well, it's like, hey, Jason Scott, we gave you all your guys. So, sorry, the blame's on you, and you're fired.